Okay, hi everybody. We're doing an instructional video for our embossed metal. We're going to do both, basically the same kind of style. So we're going to do the instructional video that covers both the fire dancer and the dancing bear. Same kind of style, okay? So we're going to start with everything that comes in your kit. There are 2 pieces of foam pads. You want to have those doubled up, so 2 together. You have a metal, I think it's like a 36 gauge metal, and we've already frosted it some so that the glare, the reflection is not so bad, but it's still, it's still there. And we have taped on a paper template that you can use to outline your entire art project. We're going to outline all around the black, both on the inside of the black and the outside of the black. Also the ears, eyes, nose, mouth, and hands. And around this little scarf. We're going to do that with, all you're going to need for this project besides what comes with it, you have gloves. We don't need to put the gloves on now. They're going to be for after, did my pen over there? Give me my pen, please. For after the, we start using the alcohol inks. Here are all your alcohol inks. You have the 3 primary colors, yellow, blue, red, and then a black and a white, and a blending solution, which is isopropyl alcohol. So we're going to use all of those colors. You only need very little of them. That's why they're little tiny squeeze bottles of them. So we'll go ahead and get started with this. We're going to keep this template taped onto the metal until we're completely done with the outline. We don't want to take it off because we'll never realign it back in the same place. So we're going to keep that on until we're sure. Now I have already embossed this one, until we're sure that we got everything we need here. Matter of fact, on this one I see like a little something here I missed. So we're gonna do that. And you can always pick up from the bottom and look, see where you're at, see where you left off, see what you missed. Take your time. Sometimes you're going to use a pressure that's a little stronger than if you were actually writing with the ballpoint pen. So you want to press down a little bit more firmly than that. And it's okay to kind of start lightly and then go over it as you create that groove, that channel. And again, both sides of the black. I usually tend to go around the entire outside and then switch out to everything towards the middle. You can not only feel it right on your template, this cushion makes the metals kind of sink down so you can feel the indentation on the paper. But you, again, can also pick up to make sure you got everything before we take this this template off. So the one of the tricks to drawing that helps is that you always draw towards your own body. So you want to come this way as opposed to going out that way. You don't want to twist your arm around to do that so that that happens. So this can move all the time in any direction as you need to. Just move it rather than, trying to be an acrobatic artist and twist your arm around this way or that way. You're going to just twist the project around and just keep going until you have it all going in the right direction. But if you can see where you're going, it's not hidden by your hand or your thumb, and you can pull towards yourself, it's always going to be a cleaner, nicer line. So I'm just going to finish this one up here. There's only a few spots that I missed, and I go over it a few times. And you're welcome to take a break sometimes on some of our embossing projects. Not necessarily this one, but you can kind of cramp up your hand, get a little tired, so take a break, come back to it. Just make sure, like I said, before you take this off, this template off, you want to make sure you've gotten everything. Both sides of the black line. Think this looks good. I think we got everything on here. So go ahead and I'm going to release this template now. And now would be the time that you're going to want to, well, actually not yet. You don't have to worry about the gloves yet. Skipping a step here. We're going to turn it around to the back side now. And we're going to create in this channel all that would be black on your template. So all that's black, we're going to go ahead and push that forward. That includes the ears, the eyes, nose, mouth, and hand. Also around the scarf. So everything that's black, we're going to go ahead and push that forward. And we're going to do that with two different things. Both the ballpoint pen that you're going to use, and if you don't have a ballpoint pen, a pencil not too sharp, but you know, kind of the same kind of point as a ballpoint pen. These precision tip swabs work also. I'm going to use that to just go in those channels and lightly. Now the thinner channels like here, you're going to want to just go ahead and use that pen to just push that forward and create that embossment. It's going towards the front. Now in larger areas, so like in this area, you can either use the pen or in the mouth, things like that. You can also use this swab, the precision tip swab. Push that forward. This you're going to go over several times like this, and it's best to use just a little bit less firm touch. And then you can even go around the edges with the pen just to clean that up so that you have a nice kind of embossment there. So it's fine if the pen actually writes on this here, because this, like I said, is the back side, so we don't care about that. And again, same thing with this. You're going to turn your project rather than turning your arm or drawing in a different direction that's other than towards your body. So this is going to be the same thing for the bear as it is for the fire dancer. Trying to find my fire dancer template. On the fire dancer, it's a little bit less embossing, but basically this would be taped to the metal as well. We're going to go all the way around the body, all of these areas, and then we're going to flip the metal over, and we're going to push that forward like this. So we've already done that on this one. Pushed all the body forward. So we're going to do that same thing with this dancing bear. So on these two particular projects, you're going to use the precision tip probably less often than the pen to create these channels. Because they're so thin. Some of our other embossed projects have a much thicker area of embossment. Just want to push that all forward. If you tried it, especially on the dancer, because the dancer has larger areas, thicker areas, so on these particular areas you're going to definitely use your precision tip swab to kind of push this forward. But it's best that you go slowly and stretch the metal slowly. If you try to be too firm, push too hard, you could create like creases in the metal, and we don't want to do that. So you definitely want to take your time, start easy, and then slowly stretch the metal forward so that we end up, so I know it's hard for you guys to see like this here, but you can feel all of this embossment is all pulled forward. I'm just going to continue to go around the body, do the same thing. If you feel that you went over part of your outline design and you kind of flattened that out or pushed it forward when it wasn't supposed to be, you can always turn this over and go back to that. You don't have to put the template back on again, because now you can see the full outline. And just go ahead and, you know, fix that. That noise you're hearing is my lovely assistant, Gianna, And she's packaging up some kits for you guys that have already been ordered, getting them ready to go out tonight. So she's just filling up ink bottles. We usually have music playing in the background while we're painting or doing these projects, but I found out just recently when I was trying to publish a YouTube video of one of our projects that even there was a slight amount of music in the background, and apparently YouTube flagged that video because there was a copyright on the music. It took us forever to figure out why it was getting flagged, but we finally found out that it was because of the music. So forgive our silence here. It's usually not that silent. Okay, so when you're sure you have that all embossed and you can feel everything is that was black on the original template is now moving forward, and you can feel the raised surface of that. You can take either this pen or the precision tip, but just lightly. You want to move the pads out from underneath it to do this part, because we need it on a flat, solid surface. And before you start any kind of painting, you're going to want to cover that surface in a either some plastic, if you have some plastic. If not, a few layers of newspaper will work also. The inks on a solid surface can be wiped clean with some alcohol, but on anything that's a porous surface, like a tablecloth or anything like that, it's not going to be good, so you want to do that. If you have any kinks in the outer edges of your metal, you can use the side, use it on its side, and lightly just kind of flatten that out, the background out, any place that you would have any kind of kinks like that. So we're going to work with the black now. Everybody's got some cotton pads like this. I'm going to start with number 1, which is the alcohol. And we're going to wet this pad, probably squeeze out a good amount so that it's kind of pretty moist on there. And then you just want to take maybe 3 drops, 4 drops of black on there. I'm going to start rubbing this around the edge of the bear and off the sides of the, so you want to cover the whole outside, but it's okay if you get some on the inside of the bear. We can work on that, wipe him clean later on. We just want to get in and around him. We're not going to worry too much about getting any on him. We don't want this to come out too dark, so if you find that it's really, really dark, this should be like a gunmetal color, you're going to want to add some more alcohol to that. And just remove some of that color, spread it around a little bit more. And this is a light touch because we're not trying to flatten this metal back out again after we did all that work. We're just trying to get like a nice coating. It should be by now starting to settle like into the crevices around the edges, and that's good. That works. Circular motion, just nice and easy. Just make sure you get up on and underneath his arms, around his ears. Same thing with the fire dancer. You're going to probably just go right over the top of the fire dancer. You don't really have to try to go around it. It's such a smaller embossment on there that you really don't want to have too much. So once we get the background done, we don't really want to mess with it too much because it's kind of hard to make like little repairs. You end up going over the whole thing again. So you can go with this, which is kind of like a polish look, that circular polish look, or like with the fire dancer, if you go up and down across, we create like more like a wood grain streak across it. And that's done by starting up over the top and going straight down, straight across. Add a little bit more alcohol to this. Dries up super quickly. So right from all the way off the top to all the way off the bottom. You don't want to have a stop and start point midway, except possibly like around the bear itself, so you don't have to go over his whole body. And it creates that kind of a streaked kind of background. So by the time I get over to this side, this part, which I did, is already dry. I can touch it with my fingers. I hope I mentioned, if I did not mention yet, gloves. Comes with a set of gloves. If you don't use the gloves, your hands will end up like mine. That does last for a while, even though we're washing our hands an awful lot lately. Still tends to stay on there for a little bit. So I suggest you use your gloves, and I hope I remember to say that before we got this far, in case any of you are actually following along. I do suggest, it's not very hard, so I suggest you watch the video straight through real quickly, and then you can always go back to it. Okay, so that's more of like a streaky look background. Okay, next thing we're going to do, I'm not going to worry about trying to clean up anything that got onto the bear yet, because just in case some of the other colors, we end up with a problem like that as well. We clean it all off at one time. We're going to start with our primary colors. We're going to put a drop, and again, this is the same thing with the fire dancer. Close to the body, right close to the body, we're going to put a few drops, like maybe a series of 3, 1, 2, 3. You don't want to put too much more down than that at a time because it dries so quickly, and we need to spread it out. So everybody's got a straw. We're going to use the straw. Hope I can blow on this hard enough to see how I want short, quick bursts of air. I hope my head didn't get in the way of you seeing what was going on there. But short, quick burst of air where you have the tip very close to the drop and blow away from his body. So keep turning this around so you're blowing away from his body. And it's going to create these spidery type kind of feathery edges to it. This textural, very cool. And I usually do like multiple sections of each color first. Very important thing, blow out, do not suck in. This is not the kind of alcohol that you want to drink for sure. So, quick burst. Try not to get any saliva in there, but it happens occasionally. And see how this did come over in here? So after we're done, I'm going to go ahead and clean that up some. So what we're going to do is take these primaries and layer them a bit. We start with the lightest, which is the yellow. And then we can always go back and forth, but we move on to areas where they're going to overlap. So we definitely, when they overlap, when the blue and the yellow overlap, we get a green. When the red and the yellow overlap, we get an orange. When the red and the blue overlap, we get a purple. So certain areas we want to do that. We don't want to have too many layers on there at one time. They will tend to get super dark and super muddy looking. So let's go with this here. Let's get some blue in there, and I'll show you how that's not supposed to happen. We're going to take those off. So that's the blue on its own. If I put a little bit more blue over here, Mixes with the yellow, forms like a green. Maybe some over here. It's just a matter of layering it up. Again, if you get too much on there, it's going to get super dark, and we don't want it to get too dark. Just make sure that you blow away from his body, towards the outside of the frame. So I'm going to go on to the magenta now. Put some over here. Magenta over some blue, so we get that purple hue there. More importantly, see how this had some here, this area, so here is green. Don't want to add now a secondary color next to a secondary color. So now that this is a combination of the blue and the yellow that makes this green, we don't want to add magenta into that, because what happens when you have all the three primary colors together, you end up with brown. Why are they leaking? So basically you're going to go around and keep doing that till you get as much as you want in color around the edges. Next thing we're going to do, as that's drying, it only takes a minute or so, I'm going to take the white. The white is the only color. We're not going to spread blow the black or the white onto this background. The white is the only color that is opaque. So the pigment tends to settle to the bottom. So we want to give that a good shake before you use it to kind of bring that back up again. Oops. And then we're just going to put a few drops on the end of one of the regular swabs. Doesn't have to be the pointy one. And especially the areas that are dark, we're going to add drops in. Now, I know that when you put this on, you think, oh my goodness, that white is too powerful. But as you can see, as it dries very quickly, it settles in and just becomes another dimension to that same color. And it adds some more texture to your painting. So you're going to go ahead and use that all the way around the edge. You see how they blend, and if you want it whiter, you can go over the top of the dots that you've actually put on, and it will make it whiter. Now, this scarf that's on there, some people like to leave it silver. You could color it any of the colors that you have, a solid color, or I'm going to show you how to just create like more of a pattern look to it. So not the white, new tip, let's take, again, and put some color right on the end of that until it's kind of saturated. You don't want it to drip and drip onto your background. And just, I'm gonna like create a lot of dots in here, maybe a little more on this is one of those precision tip. You can actually use a regular, which was what I kind of meant to do, but I'm just going to try to make his scarf look like it's got some type of a pattern to it. So I'll switch out to the yellow. I'm using the regular tip this time, so you'll see that it's larger. Your dots are going to be larger. And again, when they go over blue in certain spots, it's going to pull up a green. And magenta, you can either use the other end of the swab or use a new one. Put some of that in there as well. And maybe some white. We'll do some white in there too. Okay, so now any place that you have on this raised ridge, what we embossed, color has gotten on there, you don't need to worry about that. But on the areas that are inside of the body that we're keeping silver, you want to clean those off, and you're going to use that number 1 again. Go ahead and wet a swab completely, and just use that to kind of wipe it clean. As it wets again, you want to turn your swab and move it as you clean it off to a cleaner area. So again, if this is inside the bear's body, you want to take it off. If it's just touching the raised edge where the black was, I wouldn't worry about it. Get a new swab, clean them up. So we do the same thing with the fire dancer, with the colors. And afterwards, because you have lots of color on your fire dancer, because we went right over the top of that really, we're just going to wipe that completely clean. Okay, then we're going to take, again, the precision tip swab, pointy. I'm going to cover the end of that swab with some black, so it's not dripping. We want to go right over the whole embossment area, which we originally did. What's on your, everything that's on your template in black. You don't do this on the fire dancer. On the fire dancer, you just put the color on the outside, and then we removed any color that was left on the body. We just keep working on that until we get it off. This has kind of an outline to it, so we go over that completely. It's easier to use this kind of on its side than it is the pointy end. If you guys have a Sharpie marker or something and you feel more comfortable using that for this part, you're welcome to do that also. So we want to go around the whole body area. Try not to get any in his body, but if you do, you're going to use that same process to remove it. Clean swab, turn it as you go, pull up that color. Same thing with the painting. Coming towards your body, twisting the artwork rather than your body, so you can see where you're going. give you your best results. You also want to do the pad of the hand there. The mouth. I know you guys, there's a lot of reflection. I'm kind of right under a light here, so if you can work in an area where you're not directly under a bulb, it's going to be a whole lot easier for you. Again, you can do the Sharpie too if you need. The ears. If you find that you make a really awful mistake, you can technically wipe this whole thing clean with a bunch of swabs and some alcohol. But actually, the little areas that you're going to have any kind of problem with, you can also use another pad with some alcohol on it, kind of fold it over. And just pull color out of certain areas. So same thing with the fire dancer. Again, you press away, push away, blow, always turn, and use the white dots afterwards to create all of that kind of highlights in all your colors. It's meant to be an abstract. Don't forget on the fire dancer, the spark between her bent leg and her straight leg right there. When you get it on here, you can just use swabs and alcohol and wipe that clean. And then we're going to frame it. You guys have a frame. This goes, so we tend to put them in the frame with the metal on top. You can feel that embossment. I think it looks better, but you're certainly welcome to, especially if you have little hands at home that like to touch things with texture like this, kind of push them in. You might want to put the glass in front of it. With this, we put the glass behind it in the frame. That's totally up to you. Experiment, have a good time, guys. Give me a call if you have any questions. Send us pictures of your finished artwork.